Story 1. The Voices on Vancouver Island. In 2014, a man named Ethan and his wife Danny were spending a weekend together on Vancouver Island, something they had done many times before. The couple had lots of camping experience and loved the island's mix of scenic beaches and dense, secluded forests. But their final outing there would be one they would never forget. They had set up camp on a remote beach, far from roads and civilization. The nearest road was nearly 2 kilometers away, through thick forest. Earlier that day, the couple had met a fellow camper named Leon from New Zealand. He had parked his van at the trailhead but came down to the beach to join Ethan and Danny around their fire. The three of them shared a bottle of wine and some laughs as the sun began to set. That's when things turned strange. They all started hearing what sounded like female voices coming from the bushes just behind them, where the forest met the beach. It wasn't dark yet, so they tried to rationalize it. Maybe other hikers were nearby, or a group had anchored a boat offshore, and the sound was just echoing oddly. Still, all three heard the voices and agreed. It was definitely 2 women speaking, but what they were saying was completely unintelligible. As darkness fell, Leon decided to leave before it got too late, and began the hike back to his van. Ethan and Danny stayed by the fire, but the eerie voices continued deep into the night. Still speaking that same bizarre gibberish, the sounds grew closer, just beyond the tree line. They scanned the entire cove with flashlights, but found nothing. No boats, no people, just the darkness. Finally, around 3 a.m., the couple decided to turn in for the night. But only 15 minutes after lying down in their tent, they heard something that made their blood run cold. Footsteps. The steps came from the woods behind their tent, an area so thick with brush that it shouldn't have been accessible by foot. The steps moved from the trees to where the fire had been, then right up to the tent, and then retreated. A few minutes later, the footsteps returned, and this time the voices came with them. 2 female voices speaking loudly in a language that didn't seem real. They talked over each other in a chaotic jumble, almost like they were arguing or perhaps performing some ritual. No lights, no hesitation through the dense forest. Just loud, nonsensical speech, right outside their tent. The voices lingered for a few seconds before going dead silent. Then the footsteps disappeared into the woods, never to return. Ethan and Danny didn't sleep. At 11 a.m. the next morning, they packed up and left without saying a word. They never returned. Story 2. The Ritual in Cedar Fort. Kylie Cashwell and John Stone, 2 friends from Eagle Mountain, Utah, had a shared hobby: exploring forests in search of strange or abandoned things. One of their favorite places to explore was the area around Cedar Fort, just 5 miles south of Salt Lake City. During a solo hike, Kylie had discovered scattered animal bones, strange junk piles, and what appeared to be ritualistic symbols made from animal parts. Curious and disturbed, she brought her friend Josh back with her on September 15th to show him what she'd found. But this time, they discovered something far worse. There, on the trail, was a severed deer head. Surrounding it was a pentagram, formed with the deer's legs. It hadn't been there the first time. The sun was setting quickly, so after snapping a few pictures, they turned to leave. But as they walked, they realized they didn't recognize the path they were on anymore. Lost with only their phone flashlights to light the way, they began to feel like they were being watched. Then they heard it. Movement in the bushes, about 20 feet to their right. But the air was still. There was no wind that night. They quickened their pace. That's when they heard the scream. It was deep, raw, and absolutely inhuman. Kylie didn't dare look back. Josh did, and he claimed to see a massive black figure on the trail behind them. Something far too large to be a person. They ran as fast as they could and somehow, through pure luck, found their way back to the car. Later, Kylie researched the area and discovered reports of cult activity in those same woods, along with cases of disappearances and murders. She never went back. Story 3. The Bunker in the German Forest. Deep in the northern forests of Germany, 2 friends were hiking through what had once been part of the German Democratic Republic. That's when they stumbled upon something bizarre: metal pipes protruding from the earth like periscopes. Intrigued, they investigated and found a doorway hidden behind thick bushes, covered with a wooden lid. Beneath it lay an enormous abandoned military bunker. They descended into the underground maze, discovering long corridors and multiple intersecting tunnels. German words were scrawled on the walls. One read, "Hilfe," help. Another said, "Hello, Satan, I love you." The deeper they went, the worse the smell got. Sewage, decay. In one flooded room, a single shoe sat stuck in the muck, as if someone had left in a hurry, too quickly to even grab their belongings. The structure was believed to be a Nazi-era bunker, abandoned decades ago. But the strange markings and signs of sudden departure raised a chilling question. Who had been there last? And why had they fled? Story 4. The Man with the Duffel Bag. In 2016, an avid hiker named Bill was visiting his brother in Downsville, a rural town in upstate New York. One crisp fall day, Bill set out on a solo hike along a narrow trail not far from his brother's property. That's when he found it. A duffel bag, sitting right in the middle of the trail. Oddly clean, like it hadn't been there long, but the smell coming from it was unbearable. Rotting. Familiar. Bill knew he had to look inside. But before he could unzip it, he heard a voice. "That's mine. Please don't touch it." A large man emerged from the woods, filthy, dressed in a torn jacket and jeans. He snatched the bag without breaking eye contact. Bill apologized, saying he thought someone had left it behind. The man claimed it was from a hunt, but Bill knew better. Hunters don't use duffel bags for fresh kills. And even if they did, fresh meat doesn't smell that bad so soon. He hurried away. As he walked, he heard the bag drop to the ground behind him, but when he looked back, the man was gone. Now panicked, Bill took out his phone to call for help. No signal, and worse, he was being followed. He could hear the leaves crunching behind him and caught glimpses of the man stalking him from behind trees. Bill ran. He eventually reached a dilapidated old property and slipped inside through a back door. Inside, he hid under a cot and waited. Moments later, the back door opened again. Heavy footsteps entered the house. The man was inside. He searched room by room, his labored breathing echoing through the empty house. He came into the bedroom briefly and then left. The back door slammed shut. Bill stayed hidden for another 30 minutes before daring to move. It was almost dark. He sprinted down what used to be a driveway until he hit the road. There, he flagged down a passing car and returned to his brother's house. He called the police and gave a full report, but nothing ever came of it. Still, the truth seemed clear. Whatever was in that bag, the man was willing to kill to protect it.